Chosen one, lock your attention on this message right now. That ache in your chest that surfaces every time you think of family, I know where it's coming from. And it stops here. The enemy has been stirring up old wounds this week, for one reason and one reason only. Because he knows your sibling is about to realize the full weight of what they did. He knows the regret is setting in. And it's too late to reverse what's already been set in motion for your benefit. It all ends in the next 24 hours. The confusion, the lingering hurt, the question of why. But listen closely, because this is critical. It's not ending because you finally convinced them, or because you found the perfect words. It's ending because of what you have done in silence, in your surrender, in your decision to let God handle it. Think back to that moment, maybe months ago, or even years, when you finally stopped chasing reconciliation with that sibling, when you walked away from the endless cycle of hurt and misunderstanding. You might have seen it as giving up, as a failure to maintain family bonds. You didn't know it then, but that was not a retreat. That was a strategic repositioning. That was the moment you shifted the scales of justice in your favor, creating the very regret your sibling is feeling today. You did not find this recording by accident. The algorithm did not bring you here. Heaven did. This is a divine appointment, a court hearing set specifically for your release and their reckoning. You are standing at the moment of truth. Stay until the very last second of this message, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal the exact regret your sibling is experiencing right now. I'm going to show you how that past pain was not a punishment, but a divine setup for your elevation. And at the end, we'll seal the verdict from the court of heaven, forever separating you from the cycles of family pain. Do not click away. The version of you that carried that burden for so long, the version of you that prayed for this release, they are waiting. If you leave now, you might close the door on the very breakthrough that's meant to set your future generations free from this pattern. My name is Zerekiel. I've spent years studying the hidden patterns of the spirit realm, the warfare, the awakening, the weapons most people are never taught to use. And I've walked over 10,000 chosen ones through their moment of breakthrough. If this is your first time here, subscribe and hit the notification bell right now. Not because I need the numbers, but because the next message I release might be the one that was written specifically for the war you're fighting tomorrow. I know the atmosphere around you has felt charged for the last 48 hours. Not with excitement, but with a strange, heavy anticipation. Maybe you felt a sudden pang of sadness or anger this week, out of nowhere, thinking of a specific family member, a sibling, and how unfair it all felt. Or perhaps you had a vivid dream at 4 o'clock in the morning, where a past wound was reopened, and you woke up feeling that old sting of betrayal, the one you thought you'd healed. You feel like a verdict is hanging in the air, but you don't know who it's for. You feel suspended, like you're waiting for an apology that will never come, or for an acknowledgement that will finally heal the wound. And in this void, the enemy has been whispering a very specific lie. Listen to your thoughts. He's telling you that the pain of that sibling betrayal is a sign that you are somehow lesser, less loved, less worthy of family. He's replaying every moment you were overlooked, every slight, every time you were sacrificed for their convenience. He's telling you that you're stuck in this story, that you'll always be defined by that family wound, and that without their validation, you cannot fully move forward. But I need you to hear what the scripture actually says about moments like this. Psalm 27 verse 10 declares, "Though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me." This truth extends beyond parents. Listen to that promise. When human connections fail, when family forsakes, divine connection intensifies. The Lord will receive you. This isn't a story of abandonment. This is a story of divine adoption into a higher family, a deeper calling, and a destiny that needed you unburdened by the weight of toxic ties. The heaviness you felt when you finally let go of that sibling relationship was not the weight of loss. It was the weight of liberation. It was the final anchor snapping, allowing your ship to sail into open waters, unburdened by the dead weight of their choices. You think your peace is contingent on their remorse, but let me reframe your reality right now. Their regret is simply evidence of your freedom. It's proof that what God initiated through your pain is now coming to its full manifestation, regardless of their actions. Hit the like button if you feel this message arrived at the right time. Drop a comment below. What's one moment this week where you stayed silent instead of reacting, and now you're wondering if it was strength or weakness? You see, the true prison was never their judgment, but the silent agreement you made with it. It wasn't just the betrayal that bound you, but the narrative you allowed to take root deep within your spirit. The story that said if your own blood could abandon you, then something must be inherently wrong with you. This isn't just about their actions, it's about the internal verdict you've carried, the label you unconsciously adopted that told you you were forever fraud, or somehow incomplete without their validation or apology. This agreement, this deep-seated belief has been the invisible anchor, keeping you tethered to a past God has already decreed for release. Think of Leah in the Old Testament, overlooked and unloved by Jacob, yet through her pain, she birthed the very lineage through which kings and ultimately the Messiah would come. Her worth was never dependent on Jacob's affection, but on God's divine election. And so is yours. You've been waiting for a human apology when heaven has already pronounced your vindication. What you just heard wasn't entertainment. It was confirmation. And if you're ready to go deeper, the Chosen One's mantle will show you exactly why God separated you before birth, why the attacks came so early, and what He's unlocking in this season, code by code, until you're walking the life He already wrote over you. The link is waiting in the first pinned comment, but not for long. Now, once you truly grasp that, everything shifts, because the first thing you must do is consciously break this silent agreement with the lie. It's not enough to intellectually understand it. You must vocally, spiritually, and energetically revoke any and all permission you've given for that false narrative to define your worth. Just as Jesus healed on the Sabbath, directly challenging the man-made laws that had become a prison, you must declare that their perception no longer holds any authority over your divinely ordained identity. And this leads us to something most people miss entirely. That moment you stepped away from the cycle, the one you feared was giving up, was in fact a divine act of separation. You weren't retreating. You were creating sacred space for heaven to move. Your peace was never contingent on their change or an apology that might never come, but on your obedience to step into the isolation that prepared you for elevation. Consider Abraham, who had to leave his kindred, his familiar land, for a promise he couldn't yet see. His separation was the prerequisite for his blessing. But here's where it goes deeper. The enemy's whispers this week, the pangs of old hurt, weren't designed to send you backward. They were a final, desperate attempt to hold you in the old narrative. But in doing so, they've actually become a catalyst for your final clearing. This is the last internal battle before the breakthrough. It's like David standing before Goliath. The confrontation wasn't just physical, but a test that solidified his faith and propelled him into kingship. You are being called to fully dismantle the last remnants of those lies. Coming up, the surprising way your silence became a weapon of spiritual warfare. Now, understand this. Their regret isn't about your personal satisfaction. It's a divine currency, a karmic energy that God is using to pay back what was lost, not just in your life, but in the balance of the spirit realm. It's a natural consequence of their choices, not your personal victory lap. Think of Pharaoh, whose hard heart after the plagues led to his own undoing. His regret, or refusal to repent, set a trajectory for his own destruction, regardless of Israel's journey to freedom. And this brings us to the real turning point, reclaiming your narrative. You are not defined by the wound, but by the healing that flows through you. Your story isn't about being a victim of betrayal, but a victor who walked through fire and emerged refined. You are not just writing a new chapter, you are authoring a new blueprint. Just as Job's restoration after his suffering gave him double, your true gain is not just in what you receive, but in the deepened identity you now carry, one sealed by divine favor, not human validation. What most people don't realize is that your past pain was never a punishment. It was a divine repositioning. Every attack, every moment of marginalization, every injustice was part of a celestial strategy to prepare you for a higher calling. Like Joseph, who was thrown into a pit and sold into slavery, every hardship was a step on the ladder to the palace, preparing him to save nations. Your trajectory was divinely mapped out through the very circumstances that seemed to break you. In just a moment, we'll uncover the one subtle addiction you didn't even know was keeping you bound. But first, this has to land. God's justice is not about revenge. It's about cosmic balance and divine correction. The internal discomfort your sibling is experiencing, that wave of regret, is not your doing. It's the invisible hand of justice, rebalancing the scales, bringing accountability in ways you don't have to orchestrate. Remember the story of Haman, who built gallows for Mordecai, only to hang on them himself. The very device meant for harm became the instrument of divine reversal. And yet, there's something beneath even that. Many remain tethered to the past because they're addicted to a false hope. The hope for an apology that will never come, or for a miraculous, unconditional reconciliation that isn't God's plan for this season. This lingering hope, though it feels innocent, is a subtle addiction to the what-if that prevents you from fully living in the what-is. It's like the man at the pool of Bethesda, waiting 38 years for someone to help him into the water, while Jesus simply asked, "Do you want to be well?" Your healing is independent of their acknowledgement. Here's the part no one wants to hear, but it's crucial for your complete liberation. The hardest boundary to set isn't a physical distance, it's an energetic one. It's the boundary around your attention, your mental real estate, and your emotional energy. As long as you give them space in your mind, replaying the hurt, rehearsing arguments, or even just dwelling on their regret, you are still giving them power, still keeping the energetic cord alive. Nehemiah didn't just rebuild the walls of Jerusalem physically. He had to guard against internal distractions and external threats to protect the sacred work. And just when you think you've got it, there's one more layer. If you're honest with yourself, there might have been a subtle, unconscious participation in the cycle. Not through malice, but through a deeply ingrained habit of seeking validation or love from the very source that was incapable of giving it. You kept knocking on a locked door, sometimes out of loyalty, sometimes out of a deep desire for family. But that act, however innocent, kept you in the loop. The prodigal son's elder brother, though he never left home, remained estranged from the joy of his father's house due to his own pride and inability to accept grace. But the ultimate freedom, the one that redefines everything, comes when you understand forgiveness not as an absolution for them, but as a complete release for you. True forgiveness isn't about letting them off the hook or initiating reconciliation or pretending the hurt didn't happen. It's about severing the energetic cord that ties your spirit to the pain, allowing God to be the ultimate judge and redeemer. It's like Stephen, who, as he was being martyred, asked God to forgive his persecutors. This act wasn't for their benefit. It was a release for his own spirit, ensuring his passage was unburdened by bitterness. And once that clicks, everything shifts. You are not just breaking your cycle of pain, you are establishing a new blueprint for generations to come. Your decision to surrender, to separate, to heal, and to step into this newfound freedom has ripple effects far beyond your immediate understanding. You are the pivot point. You are the cycle breaker. This isn't just about your vindication. It's about the divine heritage you are securing for those who will come after you, forever untethered from the patterns you have just decisively ended. Tonight, before you sleep, place your hand on your heart and declare this with me. I release every hidden agreement with the lie that told me I was lesser. I break every energetic cord that tied me to the pain of betrayal and the need for human validation. I receive the full vindication that heaven has already pronounced over me. I step into the new blueprint, knowing that I am not defined by what was done to me, but by what God is doing through me. I am free. I am worthy. I am whole. And I walk forward, a cycle breaker, a path paver, a chosen one walking in divine alignment.